That is when the nations declared their rebellion, and that is when I believe the clock started ticking. See, heaven also testified to this moment. On October 2nd, we witnessed a ring of fire solar eclipse. And this eclipse created a blazing circle in the sky, and it passed over a key region in America. And see, this biblical imagery, the ring of fire, represents a covenant under judgment. It is if God has showed the wedding ring to his unfaithful bride and warned that fire was coming. What's even more staggering is 6 months before the UN vote, on April 8th, 2024, we had another eclipse cross over the nation, finishing a perfect X over America, marking an X for judgment over the New Madrid fault line. But April 8th was not just a normal eclipse. It occurred on Nisan 1, the exact day Jonah entered Nineveh to declare 40 days of warning. And the sign of Jonah, Cephas, was in the heavens on April 8th. Jesus tells us in Matthew 12 that the only sign a wicked generation will receive is the sign of Jonah. And that sign appeared twice, 6 months before October 2nd. This is not a coincidence, guys. Since October 2nd, we have had a radical shift. Anyone paying attention can feel it. You can see it. The earth itself is testifying. We have witnessed a dramatic increase in global earthquakes. Not by 10%, not even 100%, 5,200% in some regions since October 2nd. Entire fault lines are reawakened. Africa is literally splitting into two land masses. Not only that, volcanic activity has surged over 500% since October 2nd. Reports also have confirmed since October 2nd, the Southern Ocean currents are reversing for the first time in recorded history. This event is going to change the global climate and trigger a cascade of many different things. Ocean currents, it's the circulatory system of the earth. And for them to reverse is a sign of the deep judgment and transformation. The planet is groaning. The bowls are tipping. I believe now the seals are beginning to open, and what we begin as a shift in the spirit is now manifesting on a natural scale. But see, the signs have not stopped. After October 2nd, fast forward a few months, on March 14th, the world witnessed a blood moon eclipse on Purim, a Jewish feast that celebrates the victory of God's people over the plots of Haman, a prophetic foreshadow of the Antichrist. And a blood moon on Purim is rare. To have one appear within the first 6 months of tribulation is a declaration from heaven. Revelation chapter 6 describes the opening of the sixth seal when the moon turns to blood. Joel 2 echoes the same morning. The blood moon is a symbol of both judgment and deliverance. It's as if God is saying the time is now. I am shaking the heavens and the earth. And what's even more interesting is almost every major conflict in the last 2,000 years has proceeded from a blood moon. Destruction of the temple in 70 AD, the American Revolutionary War, the American Civil War, World War I, World War II, 1967 Six-Day War, September 11, 2001, all preceded a blood moon. And I'm leaving out some. That's just the ones that I remember. So Daniel chapter 9 tells us that the Antichrist will confirm a covenant with many after 1 week. The word confirms does not mean to create something new, but to strengthen and enforce what already exists. See, the Abraham Accord signed in 2020 laid the foundation for the Middle East normalization. The UN vote seeks to complete that covenant by dividing the land. This fulfills what Paul warned in 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, When they say peace and safety, sudden destruction will come upon them and they will not escape. The world is crying out for peace. The nations are scrambling for stability. But in their pursuit of false peace, they have rejected the Prince of Peace and invited the man of sin. So, just to recap, October 2nd, I do believe, was the start of that clock. It aligns with the 7-year Revelation 12 sign, fell in the most sacred 10-day window of God's calendar, Feast of Trumpets, marked the first global attempt to be voted and signed into law to divide the land, Ring of Fire eclipse that warned of judgment, the sign of Jonah in the sky. And since October 2nd, it has been on like Donkey Kong, folks. I know that each and every one of you can feel things shifting on a massive scale. And not only that, I didn't mention the amount of solar flares that have increased since that fall. I believe the clock has started. It is the hour to prepare your heart, your house. So if October 2nd marked that beginning of the final 7 years, we are less than 1 year into the tribulation right now. And that means everything the Bible warns us about is not only real, but unfolding. Very soon, the Antichrist will be revealed. The mark of the beast system will rise. The persecution of the saints will increase. And the saints must endure for 1,260 days before the Lord's deliverance comes. That's not a figurative number. It's not a spiritual metaphor. It's a literal countdown from the abomination of desolation once we see it. You know, Jesus rebuked the Pharisees for being able to discern for the weather, but not the signs of the times. We got to ask ourselves, are we making the same mistake today? Are we ignoring the signs because they don't fit our traditions? Are we rejecting the clock because we do not want to know how short time is? Or are some rejecting the clock because other reasons? The prophetic hourglass, I believe, has been flipped. And every day that passes brings us closer to the midpoint where the beast system will fully rise and the world will be forced to choose. This is no longer about interpreting prophecy. This is more about being spiritually awake. Because if the clock did start and you're still clinging on to an escape before the tribulation, then you are already being left behind, not by God, but by truth.